Could Lee have the ridiculous, like, undefeated back-to-back tournament runs here? Like, that would be crazy.
Right. And I think, if we see another 2-0 here, I'm pretty sure he dropped a game 2 last week. So that would be even more impressive if he's just going to win by not dropping a single game.
Yeah, that would be ridiculous. But we will see. It does still have to go through this Donphan deck. Starting Execute's a little bit awkward. You will have to commit an energy to retreat it, or you can just let it sit there, but you can, this can go down to a spinning turn. Of course, that Phanpy in the active, even though it will say it can evolve, it cannot actually evolve on this turn, since we have the pass going through.
And I think if you're Erupt, you have to just either pray you draw something or slam down the Juniper, because your Phanpy will not make it to next turn.
And something we should talk about too. Oh, the Articuno. I was just going to talk about this, but the Articuno being prized. Those Donphans are weak to water. So Articuno is very, very impactful in this matchup. So this is great knowledge now for Erupt to have, that Articuno is prized. That way you kind of know when you can expect to see it. And you don't have to worry about it here in the early turns.
Actually, I take back what I said there about needing to Juniper there. Because of that focus band in hand, you can sit there pretty comfortably with that Phanpy.
And we know, again, this is open list format, so we do actually know that Lee is not playing any kind of tool removal, so that Focus Sash will stick. These Focus Sashes will put in a lot of work, especially with that Articuno, which will get bolstered by that weakness. So this Articuno is going to be a huge hurdle. I actually kind of forgot about that in the matchup until just a minute ago. So this is going to be a really, really tough matchup for Erupt to win here. But again, Articuno is now prized, and that's a Juniper instead of an Archie on this turn. So at least you have that going for you.
Yeah, and not a single card played.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
So I think, I think we're Wow, but we attached the muscle band. See, I think, though, if you attach that Focus Sash, I think you just chill. I mean, actually, I guess you can take the KO here with this, whatever the first attack is on this Phanpy. The Tackle plus Muscle Band does take a KO, but you could have just chilled on that hand. I mean, I guess it still comes down to top decking on the next turn, though, so maybe this was the correct call.
I don't know, because you do guarantee yourself a Donphan on that other hand.
Right. But then what's your follow-up to the next turn, though, I guess is my thought. Like, if then it's like, okay, well, then maybe next turn I have to Juniper these away, but it at least gives you one more turn on top deck, like a Karina or something else, like anything else that you can play to set up your board. So I think my conservative brain is looking at that and saying, Focus Sash, we'll just chill. Like, we don't have to take this KO on the execute. It's not that important. But we'll see. Maybe racing out to the prize lead like this is the way you need. Like, you need to be aggressive in this matchup, as take advantage of that Articuno being prized this instance. Oops.
Right. I think that might have influenced some of that. Right, is seeing that Articuno over there, saying, okay, they didn't do anything. Maybe if I just run them off the board. The only thing, though, that I question is you don't know what they have in hand, and you're just giving them discard fodder. So what if they're like one card off, and you just, you gave them the egg to be able to utilize? I've always found like that leaving the egg on board for as long as possible is usually pretty productive. But also, we saw, this dead hand coming from Erupt, probably just saying, "Look, I need to take a prize card. I need to hope I find something here."
Yeah, and again, like we were saying, Lee did whiff that turn 1 Archies, so maybe you're thinking, if you're Erupt, you're like, okay, well, I need to take this aggression, and if they whiff the Archies, I'm in a much better position because they're not taking a KO on this Phanpy, so now I can evolve that into a Donphan and start putting out some more aggression. Of course, we see now that this hand is not very good, but and actually Lee doing something really interesting and clever here with I think it was double superior energy retrieval to basically discard enough waters from hand. You return the waters to hand and then discard them again. So I'm fully anticipating we're going to see an Archie's this turn based off of these discards. And we go for the Wailord again. The hero of top 8 returns in top 4. And there is the Archie's ace in the hole. just
Right.
needing the 1 energy. So that was a great turn already, and we're not done yet.
I mean, 5 new cards to work with, and I actually kind of like the Wailord bench here. I don't know if that was intentional or not, if that could have been discard fodder for something else, because it does take so much to KO both each time. You're kind of setting yourself up for a similar thing that we talked about in the Mega Ray matchup is you're going to be around for 2 turns with this thing, and so you know that you can potentially get off some pretty good high breaching.
Right, and it's very valuable because you aren't at risk of it being stuck on the active. You have that Keldeo with the Floatstone that can always use the rush in and retreat to pivot it out of the active, so you can just kind of throw it up for an awkward turn.
Right.
The high breaching doesn't quite pick up a KO on the Donphan. Actually, does with weakness. Excuse me. Forget the water weakness, but yeah, it's still a really very good attacker. Damage output wise, it does have the unfortunate drawback of putting itself to sleep with its attack, but you could also activate, I think it's Water Veil is the ability where if you attach an energy to it, it removes all special conditions. So you could theoretically just keep going in with that Wailord if you want to. But we did, importantly, for Lee's side, take a KO and take that Articuno immediately off the prizes.
And Articuno is going to be coming in here pretty quickly, especially if the Muscle Band is still in deck. You only need 1 heads with a Muscle Band to KO this Hawlucha. Additionally, we see the hand is dead for Erupt. You just need a Lysander and 1 heads to KO a Phanpy. So a lot of things going correct here for Lee.
I mean, and as it is, this Hawlucha is like your best attacker, and this is guaranteed to go down between, at very least, from the Keldeo. So this is a scary situation to be in. And like you said with the Muscle Band, that you can actually guarantee with a single heads that you get the KO. And there's the computer search. So unless Lee has some horrendous luck, we'll be able to pick up a KO with this Articuno and take 2 prizes with that Delta Plus ability. Very, very strong. The Ancient trait, I should say. Very, very strong. Being able to take additional prizes. And there's the Muscle Band. So obviously we knew it wasn't prized since we had that town map. So, and there's the heads right off the bat. The triple heads. Wow. Well, it is tri-edge. You get the 3 heads. So taking the 2 prize cards. And this is just so atrocious now. You only have the 2 Phanpys left. Your hand is dead. Both of your Phanpys are weak to water. I mean, is there an out left here?
Too, I think.
I mean, I have to agree.
As much as I hate saying that, I think just go to game 2. I mean, Lee's just gonna Lysander and continue to carve up your board. Lysander's in bin for the VS Seeker, which we see immediately get slapped down, and this is just going to be another KO. And
this is actually guaranteed even with 0 heads, I believe, because of the Muscle Band. It still does 40 base with the weakness is 80. So
that's incredible.
Yeah, you can do it with 0 heads because it does still have 20 base damage. So that was a guaranteed KO regardless. And this Hawlucha is not doing anything to the Articuno, so retreat into... Nope, we're just going to sacrifice the Hawlucha. And move on to game 2 in a quick one. But Lee will go up game 1.
Much faster than the last game Erupt played, that's for sure.
That is true. That is true. This is not the Donphan mirror. I mean, obviously this is a tough matchup to hit with that Articuno. And I think, that might have been the best chance that Erupt's going to get in this matchup there is with the turn 1 Archie being whiffed and the Articuno being prized.
Right. And I think from here it only gets tougher because Erupt's gonna obviously want to go first because you can evolve your Donphans, but that kind of plays to Lee's strengths where there's the opportunity to get a turn 1 tri-edge with an Articuno, get a turn 1 Secret Sword off, or maybe even a turn 1 high breaching going second. There's the opportunities are endless.
Right. And that's just the power of this Archiestoise deck. It just has so much... Its ceiling is incredibly high, like virtually limitless, in the scope of Pokemon, that it can just put out so much early pressure. And, you think about the power of Blastoise on its own, it's like, okay, well, it's a stage 2. That's the drawback in itself. You have to play Rare Candy and Squirtle. Well, no, you really don't. That Archie's ace in the hole being And this was the innovation of this world's format, and when this was actually played, was that Jacob Van Wagner played such an aggressive build of the deck, one that had not really been seen before. I think there was some, I forget who it was that played it, but in top 16 of nationals or something like that, it was played, or some regional.
Steve Guthrie.
Yes, that's who it was. Pioneered the concept of it, but I believe Jacob kind of refined it a little bit more. Adding a little bit more turbo cards to it. So, just the power of the deck, that raw consistency of it. Archiestoise was a meme until Worlds. Yeah, really.
Articuno's prized again.
Oh my god! Wow, the Articuno back-to-back. So if you're winning this series as Erupt, this is the way you win, right? Your opponent whiffs Archies, and they prize their Articuno 2 games in a row.
This is how it's done, and honestly, it might not even be enough, because assuming things go right here for Lee, we're going to see turn 1 Blastoise hit the board, we're going to see 3 energies come down, a Secret Sword for the knockout.
Ooh, but that's a Juniper.
That will be happening next turn.
Well, and a key card we have in hand here is that Silver Bangle. So this Hawlucha will threaten a 2-shot. I mean, of course, we can retreat into the Mewtwo here, but we do still threaten a 2-hit KO on these EXs. So this is very important damage that's getting placed out here. Hydrate, I got you, Fletcher.
And it's going to be incredibly important for Lee to pick up a knockout here soon to get that Articuno in hand and to start kind of prize racing against Erupt. And also to potentially, and I love coming back to it, but it seems to be the theme here, high breaching. Really just being able to kind of grind out some KOs here, potentially forcing maybe even a 3-hit knockout by a Donphan on the Wailord.
I think this is the most times in an event that I've ever said or heard high breaching mentioned. Like, it took 4 prizes in our top 8 match, and we've now mentioned it at least 3 times here in top 4.
I'm just impressed that between us, you knew what the ability was, and I knew what the attack was, and together we form one complete Wailord.
Yes, we could, and we knew the energy cost. And yeah, oh god, that's so funny.
Right, so the propagation coming in, I'm guessing that this is where, I think Erupt knows this is where the Blastoise is about to hit the board.
Yeah, this is getting very scary. And here's the Wailord.
Yes.
Yes.
My hero.
Wailord fan club is in chat. We are here. We are experiencing the greatness that is this Wailord. Attacking Wailord. We did see 2 stall Wailord decks in this tournament, neither of whom made top cut. The Supreme Wailord, of course, is the one that attacks. But it's Keldeo's turn this time, so taking the KO with Secret Sword there. Sacred Sword? Secret Sword? Sacred Sword, right?
Sacred Sword.
Secret Sword? One of the swords. Something sword has been used. We were talking about this earlier, Prime. It's really good in the Night March matchup, of course, because it cannot be 1-hit KO'd. It's actually impossible. Well, almost impossible for it to get 1-hit KO'd by
it takes a lot.
Night March. I think you need to get... Can you actually do it? 22. I actually don't think you can, because it's too...
No, you can if you play Silver Bangle, or Mew can take the knockout.
Okay, as I think it has to be the Mew, yeah.
You need a Pokemon with a Muscle Band that's a Mew, or you need a Silver Bangle on one of the Night Marchers to do it. But you can get there. It's just put yourself in a precarious situation.
Right. And that was kind of, I think that was ultimately like, the Wailord here was included for that purpose. I have to imagine, the Mega Ray was also a consideration. Like, there's so many different, as a one-of inclusion that is like so hard for most decks to deal with. But we do move on here and just see, once again, I think you put it this way last game, that Lee is just carving through Erupt's board. Yeah. These poor Donphans just going down left and right.
Right, and we see, Erupt sitting on this hand. Do you Juniper, or do you go for the N? I almost think the N might be better there. I don't know. It's so tough because you want to take cards away from Lee, but you also want to maximize the amount of cards you're seeing to make sure that you can find what you need. And as we know, Lee can just go through his deck so rapidly. I wouldn't be surprised if we just don't see another Lysander here taking out this Donphan.
So here's my thinking. Well, the Donphan did find a Focus Sash, which is very relevant. But one card that, or you're mentioning that N versus the Juniper debate on the last turn, and I didn't quite catch. I have to imagine that Lee took the Articuno off the prizes here. So you actually know that Articuno is probably in hand for Lee. You could have, checked the prizes to know for sure, but we have to assume it's in the hand now. And I would have liked to see the N played just to shuffle that back into the deck and mean that it's that much harder to find it and set it up on this following turn. Because that Articuno is what, ultimately is going to keep you from ever coming back into this game. Once these EXs are targeted, that Articuno just says, okay, cool, I'll take these prizes for free, extra prizes, here we go.
With the Focus Sash on that Donphan, you hit into it, Articuno can just come in and clean up at some point also. Might make sense here to just start cleaning up Robo Subs. I'm not sure what's in Lee's hand or how much is left in deck. Looks like he has 2 VS Seekers left, so maybe not time quite yet, especially since the Articuno's not set up, but can certainly just continue doing whatever he wants in this game. And Erupt's hand is also not very strong.
You can at least threaten, again, this Donphan is not going down this turn, so you do have a KO lined up on either just Keldeo or that Mewtwo on the bench with another spinning turn plus Lysander, so you can get a little bit more aggressive here. And wow, Lee's going to win the Sky Return for the KO. I wonder, you definitely just throw up this Wailord even. You can take the KO to get rid of this Robo Sub and go in with the Wailord to just soak a hit. Teafu, I think that's how you pronounce that. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it.
I like that Sky Return play. I mean, obviously, you don't know that there's 2 Lysanders in hand right now. But I mean, other than that, right, like what is there really going on for Erupt here? Not finding more outs to more Robo Subs, so eventually you're going to have to start pushing up Pokemon that can just immediately get KO'd by Articuno for 2 prizes, and we're back in that prize race situation that I think the Donphan player just ultimately loses here.
Wow, and the bench of the Bunnelby is a little bit wonky because that also goes down to that Articuno that much easier. And now you've just put, you've effectively put 2 free prizes in play with the 1 Bunnelby because of that Articuno. So, only 60 HP on that little bunny. So I'm not really sure why that was benched. I think you were fine to just sit there with the Donphan with that Focus Sash, keeping it safe, and then this Hawlucha. But this is a very weird benching of that Bunnelby, to be sure.
Yeah, I'm really not sure why. I mean, you had the Mime in hand you were holding. I don't think the Bunnelby is going to be that impactful unless there's a situation where Lee somehow goes down to 2 cards in deck and you go, oh, okay, I win.
Yeah, I'm very curious about that because that difference of 10 HP is actually very relevant with the Tri-Edge math. Since it's 20 plus 40, it means you need to get an additional heads or find the muscle band. So, it's that much more difficult to get the KO. We will probably see a KO here with this Blastoise, potentially, it's looking like. Yeah, we're seeing the energy attachment to this Blastoise. Can use that Hydro Pump. We'll pick up a KO on this Robosub, and the Blastoise is actually not really in danger. Of course, you could wreck to take out the Blastoise, but then your Donphan is still exposed. Or we could just chase down the Mewtwo as the prizes here. I kind of actually like the wreck play more, though, because it forces an Archie on the following turn. Actually, no, you don't even need the Archie. You can just attach and use High Breaching here.
And I mean, you have the Focus Band.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if I like this play with the Blastoise. I think it's kind of just weird. Like giving it up too easily.
But what was your better option though? Because I mean, you do want to pressure that Robo Substitute. Like you don't want to just pass. Like you have to do something to force the issue a little bit. And we haven't seen this Articuno yet. Am I missing something? The Articuno was not in the prizes anymore. Did it get discarded? What happened to it?
So I think Lee was end after drawing it out of the prize cards, because he definitely took it as his first prize card.
Okay, that makes more sense then. So it's just kind of stuck, trapped in the deck then.
Right. Right, let's see where Lee takes this next.
It's an Ultra Ball.
I will say, though, I think in addition to this is the most time we've ever thought about high breaching, I haven't thought about Wreck this many times in a long time.
Well, Wreck does come up fairly often. There is the Archie, and the Articuno was found, obviously, with that Ultra Ball. But yeah, Wreck does come up fairly often, especially in the Toad matchup, because it's your way to clean the one-hit KO a Seismitoad with your damage modifiers. So Wreck is a very viable attack in a lot of matchups. I think this list usually plays 2 to 3 DCE, so you can use that Wreck attack. But yeah, it takes a lot to build up to it because you have to attach manually 3 times. So you don't really get to see it used a lot, but it is kind of a, you can build up to it. That's kind of the attack you're trying to work toward after you've used your spinning turns to maximum effectiveness.
Right.
So how do we finish this off if you are our Donphan player here? I feel like it has to start with, like, you take a KO with... I got so confused for a second. I forgot how the focus sash animation works. I'm like, what did we miss?
I was like, wait...
Do we take the KO? I mean, it's awkward because you have to burn this Lysander. You do have the VS Seeker follow-up in hand, so do you chase down this Articuno maybe and KO that with Wreck? And then go down to 2 prizes and finish off the game on the Mewtwo on the bench with a Flying Press, potentially? I think that's got to be the line you're going for here.
Right, I would agree. And we know that was the third VS Seeker. I don't know about that. We know that B only has 1 VS Seeker left. So
this does pick up the KO though, right? This is 180. Yes, this will pick up the KO. Yeah. I don't hate that. I actually kind of would have preferred to see maybe either the Articuno or the Blastoise targeted with that Lysander. I feel like those are more impactful since Lee already has a fully powered attacker anyway. These energy actually don't really matter. Like, I think I would have preferred to target the Blastoise, in my opinion, force another Archie's if they want to go in with the Articuno. Because if you take a KO with high breaching here, but like you're still in that much more, like you're actually in an okay position because they still need to take 2 more prizes, 2 more KOs. And yes, N also hurts a lot more now, that's correct. But no N coming, nothing played other than the high breaching. So this looking pretty good, but the only problem is no energy for this Hawlucha. So this VS Seeker cannot just guarantee game.
Ooh, no. No energy is so tough.
And this is exactly why I was saying to target the Blastoise, I think, because if you take out the Blastoise, whiffing this turn isn't as detrimental because your opponent needs that much more to set up a secondary attacker. Right. And now, wow, the research, the Juniper being played to discard that VS Seeker. We did at least find the energy and a VS Seeker for the next turn.
Oh my, Gabe, Groudon player without the Bunnelby, 2-0'd the other Groudon player.
Wow, oh my god.
How did that happen?
And we were talking about this as like a, you're so favored with that Bunnelby. I am shocked to hear that.
Interesting.
Wow. I wish maybe we should have streamed the Groudon mirror.
I mean, who would have thought?
We did have a Groudon mirror on the other side of this bracket, so we have a Primal Groudon guaranteed in the finals of Riley's Retro number 7, but who will it be up against our first finalist? I love how often Erupt emotes. There's the end to 1. Oof.
I mean, that's what you gotta do. End and pray.
Oh, but it's a VS Seeker!
Wow.
But does Donphan doesn't currently take the KO. We still need an energy. And a Juniper too. Oh my god. Wow, this is insane.
You're right, that's not enough. to take the knockout here.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, both of those. There's still a VS Seeker left, so that's good. We do have the energy at least to attach an attack here. I think you have to go in with the... Yeah, I was like, you think you have to go in with this Donphan. You found the Robo-Sub, which is great, so you can spinning turn into that Robo-Sub. I think you thin out this Repeat Ball. You could even use this... I almost even wanted to see the Ultra Ball discard that Repeat Ball and even the DCE, because you know another end might be coming. Just thin out your deck of as many dead cards as you can. Zand97206, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Boy, I'm getting real hyped. This is getting really exciting.
I know.
And this is gonna be the game though. This is it. You just have the Lysander plus the yeah, bring up the Mewtwo. And that is gonna be game 2. Wow, so even with the Articuno, which was prized again, we are going to go to a game 3 and top 4. Wow.
This has been a fantastic tournament so far. And to think we still have one more match after this. We have the finals.
And it's going to be a Primal Groudon deck against either of these two we see here. So going to be a fun one in the finals. So stick around for that, of course. And we start off with a mulligan for Lee. So going to see some more cards. And Erupt's opening hand is looking pretty solid. We got a Vampy with an energy we can attach. We have a Repeat Ball to go find another one. Even have that Karina to maybe even get a Focus Sash if we're super worried about this this Vampy going down. And did Lee choose to go second?
Did he?
Yeah, because Erupt is currently the little glowy thing indicates who's going first. So yeah, wow. So Erupt's
another
going
egg
first.
Start.
Yes, and another egg start.
I wonder if Lee's thinking, you know, I need to rush this and I need to just start taking prizes as soon as possible. That's going to be tough with the egg starter.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's merit to it, right? Because you can, you know, if everything goes well, you can get the turn 1 attack with... you know, getting an Archie's, you can put 3 energy onto your Articuno, onto your Keldeo. And actually, one thing I quickly want to mention while I'm thinking of it, but I think people kind of forget this is a play you can do, but the Archie's Ace in a Hole lets you pick any water Pokemon. So you can Archie's to get that Articuno back if it's discarded or knocked out, which is something we don't really see often. You probably won't see it too often. I don't know if we'll see it for sure in this game, of course, but it is just an option that you can actually use that Articuno multiple times through the playing of another Archie. So just something to keep in mind too as we, you know, move through this game and how important that Articuno is for this matchup.
Let's see if Lee can pull off the turn 1 Blastoise here. He's missed it both games, I think, in fact.
Yeah, correct. And he had both the Articuno prized both games and missed the turn 1 Archie both games.
I'm guessing we're going to see the turn 1 Archie unless this Ultra Ball grabs something off the wall.
Well, it's always interesting to see Pokemon discarded because those are cards that you can always just bench and put into play. But wow, just the N again. So Archie's turn 1 has been whiffed 3 games in a row. That is terrible if you're Lee.
I mean, not out of this yet. Definitely not because of Articuno. If Articuno is in the deck,
right,
Lee can definitely rush Erupt off the board.
I just have to quickly say too, kind of funny that you know, we have a Primal Groudon player in the tournament and it's not the person whose name is Erupt.
Didn't even think of that.
That would have been the perfect symmetry. Like next time, I'm gonna make them play Groudon just so we can have that. Just so we can have that little.
I think you should.
Yeah.
I
feel like, listen, you're forced to. It's the rule. Egg. Yeah. That is in fact an egg, Vinny. So, I mean, at least we get a Keldeo with an energy attachment. I mean, God forbid we miss another Archie's. We can potentially go in with the 3 manual attachments to the Keldeo. And yes, Vulcan Turtle not playing Volcanion. If we could have had Vulcan playing Volcanion and Erupt playing Primal Groudon. All will be right in the world. You always will? Okay, cool. Egg.
Erupt really not finding anything here, but just the Karina with the Robo Sub and the Donphan is enough to keep this deck going. And sometimes
we do have 3 Hawlucha.
that is a lot of luchadors right there. Yeah, sometimes like I think this came up last week talking about Volcanion too. This deck can just be very reactive, very passive. It can just kind of sit on these dud hands for a little bit in the early game because Hawlucha's Flying Press can just put so much pressure on.
And it's great because you have cards like Focus Sash and these Robo Subs that like you can kind of mitigate the aggressiveness of your opponent by, preventing KOs. Yet we know Volcanion's not in 2015. We're talking about last week. Get with the program, Prime. This is what happens when you don't watch my streams. Just saying.
And we know here that there's no Lysander play possible because if you're doing anything right now, you need to be able to get in off that Archie's. And we see the Muscle Band hit the discard.
Oof.
That doesn't feel good. Yeah, Erupt goes, I don't know, there's a Blastoise coming down. That doesn't feel good either, but...
Yeah. Wow, but Shaman...
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Is the Jirachi prize?
I believe the Jirachi was discarded. I don't know why I feel like I saw it discarded earlier. Okay. Actually, it might not have been, though. That might have been a different game. So I don't know. It could have been prized. I mean, again, and we talked about the power of this Archiestoise deck, the high ceiling of it, but we also haven't talked about, this side of it where, like, you can draw hands that are unplayable to get that Archie's. Like, you need to get 0 cards, or, the Archie has to be the last card in your hand. And sometimes that's just such a challenge to get that, this is just it's like a theme deck, We did see the discarding of the Robo Sub, which is an interesting choice. I mean, I guess you obviously want to put pressure on this Shaman and kind of try to race ahead here, but I guess you have the Focus Sash to Fan P2 to fall back on.
I just don't really like that, though, because the Donphan, who's like your main guy, only has a Muscle Band on it, so he's not doing much. But if he has a Lysander here, that Donphan's going down, and what do you really do now?
Right, you can't attack with Hawlucha because you only have the double Kalos in hand, and now you have a Fanpy that can do 10 damage. I mean, yeah, this is huge. The fighting energy top deck is great, though.
I mean, so you have a Flying Press, and then Keldeo just returns not the KO.
Right, I mean, but at least it sets it up for a 2-shot, and there's no Archie currently there, so... Oh, but the Rough Seas... That will push it out of range. Yeah.
Maybe, let's see. I think if Lee can just get a Blastoise on board at this point, I think he will close this one out. I think it just depends on can he get one down this turn, because I think the longer this goes, more passive time you just give Donphan to keep potentially top decking, just enough to stay in this game, the harder it becomes.
We see Wailord, the cult fan favorite here, hit the board. But you're absolutely right. Like, I think, and you are going down to 4 prizes here. You're taking out this Hawlucha. We mentioned sometimes just attaching 3 times to Keldeo puts out enough pressure, especially on 1-prizers that all have either water weakness or less than 110 HP. So Keldeo is a really strong attacker here. The Battle Compressor is a good sign as well. Bodes pretty well for us finding an Archie this turn. And like you said, I mean, if we find the Archie this turn, it feels like this is just going to spiral very quickly out of control in Lee's favor.
Right.
And I think, we have to talk about how relevant that Rough Seas was. Like, it's not just a counter stadium to get rid of the fighting stadium, but it also heals off that damage. At least if you get, you can counter the stadium, that's fine. There's 110 damage on that Keldeo. It can be cleaned up, maybe by even
superior for 1 energy.
Wow. Hey, you got to do what you got to do. You get the Archie. Yeah, you get this Archie. You're going to get that Blastoise into play, and... This is looking... Suddenly it's looking perfect for... I want to see if this Articuno is prized again. It is!
Gosh, no wonder he had trouble finding the
Wow.
Archies. There's an Archies in there. There's a Shaman in there. Oof.
Wow. But at this point, looks like it might not end up mattering too much unless Erupt can top deck here. In the end, top deck will really get them back into this game. Whew, we found a Donphan. We found this fighting stadium as well. We found a Robo-Sub, so that was exactly what was needed. And we might actually end up getting a full game here. Of course, we have to imagine that Articuno was taken off the prizes, so it did just get end back into the deck. I don't think Erupt has checked what prize was drawn, but it has to be that Articuno, you'd have to imagine.
Right.
And once again, going for the Sky Return play, I think that's a very heads-up play. And into the Wailord again, so the same strategy that Lee employed in previous games.
And Acrobite just to thin a little bit here. Yeah, gain rate of water energy. You don't necessarily need to see that at the moment, because you're going to be getting 2 straight away back into hand here. And now,
and you get your Shaman back, so you get that setup ability again as well.
Right, that's... Sorry, my cat was pawing at me. Now you're kind of stuck in a strange spot, right? Do you want to N, or do you want to Juniper and see more cards here? I almost feel like the N might be the better option, because you're still getting 5, and you're putting them down to 4. You know you're getting rid of 2 waters.
And a Shaman.
And you know that you're getting rid of the Shaman. Opting to put the strong on the active is interesting. I also think it's interesting you went into the Blastoise here.
I think it's interesting that they promoted the Donphan instead of the Free Retreat Halucha.
So many things going on, and I think part of it might just be, you know, this has been a decently long retro tournament. These are players who also aren't the most familiar with the decks, right, because we're not playing them on the regular like standard. So we do have to cut them some kind of slack here.
Absolutely. And this is game 3. They've been playing, you know, for Erupt's standpoint as well, they did just play a really grueling best of 3 Donphan mirror match in top 8 against a very strong opponent in Cal Connor. So, you know, this is, you're definitely... Yes, we know Volcanion wasn't in 2015. Thank you, chat. We are aware. But yes, this has been a grueling tournament on both sides. So yeah, I mean, you know, you're also shortcutting the action. Like, I mean, I think it's unlikely that you attack with anything other than a Donphan, but just a small nuance. Right. Also a small nuance of not using that Ultra Ball. You could have thinned out something like maybe this Bunnelby if you really wanted to. You know, little tiny nuances like this that ultimately probably won't impact the game too much. But oh my god, what? Chat, why? Why is my chat bullying the YouTube? Why? Well, we do see the wreck there, and unlike the stall version of Wailord, this 180 damage is going to stick, so we can potentially 2-shot this Wailord at some point. And the Focus Sash is still active. I'm ignoring y'all. I'm ignoring you guys. Thanks, Picky.
What is even happening right now?
I don't know. Who started this? Like,
who started the copy pasta? It wasn't in 2014, but yes, it was in 2016.
It was in 2016. Hey, there we go. I appreciate that was your first time chat too.
Next to me.
Oh my god.
Stack of cards pulled next to me for 2016, and Volcanion is in there, chat. Don't worry.
We can confirm. Volcanion has been found. There's a Volcanion sighting in 2016. Oh my god.
Okay, so
I love you guys, but I hate you guys.
These Focus fans have just been such a pain for Lee right now.
We figured it out, guys. 2015 is Volcanion's favorite number. Why? What? No, Prime. No, love thyself. Wow, and that's a lot of energy being deluged into play. I think we have all but one of the energy in this Blastoise deck currently on the field. That is impressive. Oh no, the Donphan got KO'd. Psych.
What
Don't
a
love myself
bizarre
too
way to
hard.
program this.
I know,
Whoever
right?
came up with that idea clearly is doing PTCG live.
Whew. Wow, painful Juniper there, discarding 2 VS Seekers. We do have at least the third, potentially the fourth one in hand here. So evil, yeah. Vinny, does that deserve to be in the Vinny quotes channel? Don't love thyself too hard. Is that a good enough Vinny quote? God.
That's what I told myself when I went to law school. I said, I'm loving myself a little too hard. I need to go suffer.
Wow. Hey, it's working out for you, though. You're now a 2-time Riley's Retro caster, so, like, that's working out pretty well for you.
Right, exactly. I asked for much more.
Volcanion wasn't in 2015, that's the quote. You guys are going to put that in my Discord next, aren't you? That's going to be just walls of copy pasta in the Discord. Oof, but here's the Lysander with the Articuno and the Tri-Edge guarantees taking out this KO for 2 prizes, and that is huge.
I think this is, I think getting those
Russ!
to play.
You missed Donphan. We had a Donphan mirror. You should have played. SMH my head, Russ.
Can you imagine if we had to commentate the Donphan mirror for like
with
the hour
Russ?
that it went on?
Oh God, who do you think popularized it? I don't know. Some purple Heracross looking guy. Oh, why does my music keep turning off? Oh, because the song ended.
We'll do it.
Listen, did you guys know that Volcanion wasn't in 2015? What an idiot that guy is. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Also, how are you doing, Russ? What's up? Congrats on your engagement. Oh, God. Yeah, but it feels like this one is definitely slipping very quickly away. I mean, what is even the option here? Like, Karina. Ugh. What are we getting with this Karina to not just immediately lose the game? Is there an avenue here?
At this point.
There's no Robo-Sub left. I mean, you don't take a KO currently on this Articuno. There's no Focus Sash. You have to switch with spinning turns, so... I mean, you can't throw anything up because the Articuno can just take it out, and even if it doesn't, you're still giving up a prize to a Hawlucha, so I think the pass has to be it.
Right.
You made an important statement on Twitch, or Twitter. I'll take a look, yeah. Stoice player is playing super well. Yes, for sure. I mean, both players have played this very well, I will say. You know, Erupt for forcing this to a game 3, definitely. Call that a 2-piece? Wait, what? I missed the first part of that joke. Part 2 of my... Wait, that's funny. I just finished part 2 of my 1-piece video. Call that a 2-piece. You're crazy, y'all. That's funny. But yes, it's been incredibly well played on both sides. And oh my god, the rough seas too, healing so much damage from the bench. And even if we don't get a KO here with the on this Donphan, I mean, it's just got to be like, now the game is lined up with the Tri-Edge to take out this Donphan on the following turn wherever it goes.
I just don't see a way at this point.
There's too many threats, even, like, at this point, even if that Articuno just suddenly, you know, disappeared from the board, like, if there was a, you know, a tornado and it just got whisked off the board, there are still 2 attackers. Yeah.
Right. The end's just not going to do enough at this point. There's so few cards left in Lee's deck that I would have to imagine he has access to every card in there if he wants it.
And again, I think regardless of that, the silver lining is on the board because... there are 2 Keldeos in play, so they can even just go Secret Sword knockout, and the game's just over regardless of the Articuno. But they can go for the game with the VS Seeker for Lysander, bring up that Donphan, and just guarantee take the game here, which obviously you should do that if you can. So Lee will take this and move into a back-to-back finals appearance, going for the back-to-back championship crown here, takes the game against Donphan with Tri-Edge, taking those last 2 prizes and moving on to the finals.